They say the season is here. They say 'tis the season. It's always Norlander season on this here podcast. Shout out to my guy Matt Norlander over at CBS Sports. He always comes out with the classic Candid's coaches poll, where he gets basically all these quotes from coaches on and voting on who the best team is in college basketball and some other questions I think that happen in this series. But the CBS Sports annual survey of nearly 100 coaches across the sport, and there were two schools that rise above all the best. So they were asked who the best team is in 2025, 2026 for this upcoming season. And I think to nobody's surprise, the answer was Purdue with 32%. And the second team following them was Houston at 28%. Then there's a drop off, Riley, all the way down to Duke, who got 8% of the vote, as well as St. John's with 8%, UConn 5%, Florida 5%. Then the other schools that received multiple votes, Michigan, BYU, Kentucky, and Louisville. But as you can see, there were two teams that stood out amongst the best, and Purdue being the one that is the best. Some of the quotes that came from this one about Purdue: they're consistent, the returning production, they have Final Four experience, National Player of the Year candidate. They got the dominant bigs. They got two All-Americans. That's a good start. That is a great start. I feel like we say that. Are we candid coaches? Riley, I guess I'll get your thoughts on this because I feel like it's not a surprise, but maybe it's a surprise that I don't know that they're 4% above Houston, or is it a surprise that it's only 32%? Where do you stand on what coaches think about this?
Yeah, I don't think it's a big surprise that Purdue and Houston got the majority of votes. I think the two of them together are pretty close in terms of like who is the best team in the country. I've been leaning with Purdue just because I think again, two All-Americans, that's tough to argue with, and then Omer gives you that young upside piece. Plus you have Painter with a developmental track record to where you can look at someone like a Jakari Harris and think that there is a step and a leap that he's going to make. Plus, they got Oscar Clough, who somehow was never talked about when I thought he was one of the best available bigs and a tailor-made fit for what Painter wants out of his five man. So they felt like the clear number one to me. The defense scares me a little bit, but that's where I think Houston closes the gap. Where even if they lost a lot after their national runner-up run, you sort of know what you're getting year in and year out from that program to where I think it's worth the conversation. And yeah, honestly, I don't really think that you should vote for anyone outside of those two. Did UConn get any votes? That's the only other one where I'm like, I'd sprinkle in UConn way before St. John's, Duke, BYU. UConn just gets the benefit of the doubt for me. But where did they fall in?
So UConn was a part of that 5% vote. So them in Florida got 5% of the
Okay.
vote,
Oh, right.
which is 3% behind St. John's and Duke, where I kind of feel the same way. I thought that those teams should have been a little bit higher on this list. But look, uh, one, I got thoughts on candid coaches. I would candidly be a hater with all due respect. I'm not hyping up another team. I like I'll maybe throw a little something out there, but if I have a chance to candidly and anonymously hate, 100% I'm doing it just to make that very, very clear. But you
Who
know,
would be, candidly, who would you take your first shot at if Norlander was hitting you up for a quote on this one? Are you saying Shaka Smart wears long sleeves under polos? Are you saying Shire still is giving off some dweeby vibes? Are you like, what's the angle we're going after here?
listen, we'll talk offline. I don't want to open myself up to anything on here candidly. I want to stay anonymously a hater, but I don't think it's much of a surprise to see Purdue at this spot, just given because like you can't argue with the facts. Facts are Braden Smith's a National Player of the Year favorite. Trey Kaufman-Renn is an All-American, first team All-American, so that's two All-American candidates right there, possibly first team All-Americans. Um, One of the best coaches in the sport. They couldn't rebound last year. They fixed that. They got Omer Meyer as well. There's a very deep team. Now, the one thing I will say here is that, I'm not saying that Purdue is going to falter in any way. But is it fair to have the question posed that like there is so much pressure on this team? Like the
Mhm.
Final Four is in Indy. This is the last go around for Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn. This is maybe to the date the best chance for Purdue to win a national championship. And they have all the pieces to kind of be in that spot. So I ask you, Riley, candidly, does this team feel pressure?
Dion, how's your job going?
Beginning of the school year, everything's like a little up and down. One of the biggest issues we've had is we can't find any uniforms for our girls' sports teams.
Mm, that's a difficult thing to find a solution for. I know damn well all about that because I got a daughter that just turned 2. She's into sports and she's already outgrowing every little piece of sports apparel she had. Thankfully, I know Clara Kate Creations. Clara Kate Creations was started by a former high school teacher who quit because it wasn't cost effective to send new twins and a 2-year-old to daycare. She found it easier to make girl sports apparel than finding it to buy. And I am so thankful that she exists because if we have an old shirt of Murph's that she's outgrown, we can send it in and she takes that piece of apparel that means something and upcycles it into an outfit that Murphy can now wear as she grows up. She makes great stuff. It's honestly kind of like your fullback's wife, Kyle Juszczyk. Is that how you say it? She does that, but honestly, I think Clara Kate's coming for Mrs. Juszczyk's job.
I love that. I'm a big Juice guy, love his wife, love Clara Kate even more than both of them, though.
You can send in your own custom ideas and she will come up with a design. She's just the best. Look up Clara Kate Creations on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and more.
Should they feel pressure?
I think they should. I would say like the expectation for this team should be a 35-5 type of year. That's like when I close my eyes and envision their record, I'm expecting them to have 5 wins or fewer going into the NCAA tournament. And where that scares me a little bit, even in terms of pressure, is I don't think we've had a team with those types of expectations who lived up to the billing since Gonzaga in 2021. And even that year was the weird COVID influenced year where I'm racking my brain. To me, I'm going back to, like the Ohio State or the UNC teams of the late 2000s who you're going into the year thinking you know what you have. I would even include, I think there have been some Michigan State teams that fit that billing, Carter. Look at us both with our program's historical dominance. We're going into the year, you're expecting this team, you're thinking, okay, this team is a surefire top 3, top 4, top 5 team in the country that's gonna have like comfortably have single digit losses. Have we had a team like that recently? Like the UConn's back to back years, the first title sort of they came out of nowhere during the non-con that year. They went from being ranked like 21st to first after what was it, the PK 85. The following year when they went back to back, I felt like they dealt with doubt going into the season. It's like, oh yeah, UConn will be good, but they're not going to be as good as they were last year. They were preseason top 10, not like top 3. So even but like you think about how Kansas has been the team Brandon the offseason the past 2 years and have vastly underachieved to where, yeah, you have to go a ways back to find a team that was projected to have this dominant type of season, surefire top 2 in the country that actually lived up to the billing. And that to me would worry me about some of the pressure.
Yeah, and I think for me too, and I don't know if this is just like me trying to, get to the point where we have talked about Purdue being so great. I do think Purdue is the number one team, but I do think it has somewhat gotten to a point where like I think Houston isn't being looked at enough as the team that's on par with Purdue. Like Milo Suzon at the end of last year was playing like one of the best point guards in the country, not named Braden Smith, right?
Mhm.
Um, as much as we give Purdue credit for what they one bring back and two what they add, Houston just added 3 5-star kids. I mean, I know it's different on different recruiting services, but Kristen Ack was a 5-star. Isaiah Harwell was a 5-star on most recruiting services. Kingston Fleming was right on the cusp of 5-star ranking, 5-star by some services. JoJo Tugler is one of the best defenders in the country. And I get like people have skepticism about what that team can do, maybe offensively, losing guys like LJ Cryer and things like that. But let's not get it twisted. This team is all dog, all lock you up, frustrate you. And if there's a team that could make things tough on a team like Purdue, wouldn't Houston be tailor-made to do so?
Mhm. It's that system where you know what you're getting every single year, the top 5 defense. I would argue they've been a tick more consistent than Purdue in the transfer portal era, like over the past half decade. Uh, Purdue has still had a little more variance because they can't bank on the defense every year that's going to be there regardless of the pieces, which Houston can. So, yeah, even if they do have some question marks offensively, I still think Kelvin has shown us enough over in recent years that they're going to have shooting. They were a top 10 3-point shooting team last year that gets overlooked because they're disgusting on the defensive end. Like they've figured something out there. Like he knows how to find snipers. And Emmanuel Sharp has done nothing but be a sniper for his entire career. And I just expect, like, I think the offense will probably take a step back from what it was last year, but not significant enough to knock them off this perch or to say they're anything less than a national title contender.
Yeah, 100%. But shout out to Matt Norlander for the I always love the candid coaches thing. I think, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it like a whole series? Don't they have like more questions that go along with it?
Yeah, yeah. I want to be clear where my loyalties lie. I'm on Team Borzello when it comes to anonymous coach quotes, but I'll give Norlander his due for this one.
Shout out to Borzella, shout out to Norlander. Always fun to get candid coaches.